Hello everyone, my name is Olivia Arcana and I'm a member of Group 5. We're going to present our chapter, which is chapter 4, the market research. And these are my fellow members of the Group 5. We have the table of contents here, which consists of 5 subtopics. The first one is knowledge is power. The second one is the role of the customer insights function in the marketing organization. The third one is steps in the market research process. The fourth is ripped from the headlines. The fifth is the cutting edge. So the first one is knowledge is power. There are sayings that say, in reality, several aspects of market research are fraught with the potential for ethic breaches. So this is where market research ethics come to play. It refers taking an ethical an above-board approach to conducting market research that does no harm to the participant in the process of conducting the research. And when the organization collects data, important issues of privacy and confidentiality come into play. So marketers must be very clear when they work with research respondents about how they will gather the data and how they will use the data, and give respondent the full disclosure on their options for confidentiality and also anonymity. For example, it is very unethical to collect data under the guise of the market research, but then your real intention is to develop a database of potential customers for direct marketing. Then the second one is marketing information system, which is often called MIS. This is the process that first determines what information marketing managers need. It gathers, sorts, analyzes, stores, distributes relevant and also timely marketing information to the users. The MIS system has 3 important components. The first one, as we can see in the picture, is 4 types of data. Is internal company data, marketing intelligence, marketing research, and also acquired databases. The second one is computer hardware and software. It is to analyze the data to create reports. And the third one is output for marketing decision. So here's the first one, which is called internal company data. It uses information from within the organizations to produce reports on the results of sales and marketing activities. And it also includes a firm sale record, and this is such as which customer buy which product and or at what quantities or at what intervals, or which items are in stock, which items are back ordered because they're out of stock, and which is shipped to when is it shipped to the customers, or which items have been returned because they have defectives. And internal company data also allows salespeople and sales manager in the field to access internal records through a company called intranet. This is an internal corporate communication network that uses internet technology to link company departments, company employees, and also company databases. And intranets are secured so that only authorized employees have access with it. And when salespeople and sales manager in the field use to access their company's MIS, they can better serve their customers because they have immediate information for example, the pricing or the inventory levels, the production schedules, the shipping days, and also for the customer's sale history. Managers can also see daily or weekly for the sales data by brand or product line from the internal company data. The next one is market intelligence. It is a method by which marketers get information about everyday happenings in the market environment. So all informations are available by monitoring everyday sources, which here we can see from company websites, industry trade publications, or even direct field observations of the competitive marketplace. And because salespeople are the ones that are in the trench, as we say, every day, so talking with customer, distributors, or even prospective customers, they are the key to source of valuable information. So by that, we can see that retailers often hire them to be the mysterious shoppers, to visit their stores and those of their competitions, to pose as a customers and to see how people are treated. The next one is market research. Market research is a process of collecting, analyzing, and interpreting data about customers, competitors, and also the business environment. And it is called for when managers need unique information to help make specific decisions. So whether their business is selling fashion or selling beverages, firms succeed when they know what the customer wants and when they want it or where they want it. So what competing firms are doing about it is also one of the factors that they need to know. And in other words, the better the firm at obtaining a valid market information, the more successful it would be. So often nowadays companies rely on online virtual market research on and on. The next one in market research, we have about syndicate research and custom research. So in syndicate research, it is a research by firms that collect data on a regular basis and sell the reports to multiple firms. And it doesn't provide all the answers to marketing questions because the information it collects typically is broad but shallow. But then we have the custom research. It provides specific answers and help firms when they need to know more about why certain trends have surfaced. The next one we have is acquired databases. Acquiring a large amount of information that can be useful in market decision making is available in the form of external databases. It is used to analyze overall consumer trends, and it can be used for outbound direct mailings or unsolicited phone calls and emails. So firms may acquire these databases from any number of sources. For example, some companies are willing to sell their customer database to non-competing firms or even the government databases, or there are many more databases that can help you to acquire the database. But then when you sign up for most anything online that requires your contact information, you will receive an option to opt out, and it is the opt-out option is to receive promotional mailings from the company or from others who may have acquired your contact information from the organization later. And by law, if you decide to opt out, companies cannot use your information for marketing purposes. The last one is marketing decision support system. It includes analysis and interactive software that allows marketing managers to access MIS data and conduct their own analysis. It includes sophisticated statistical and modeling software tools. So the first one that we will discuss is sophisticated statistical. For example, a marketing manager who wants to know how consumers perceive their company's brand in relation to the other competition's brand, we might use a sophisticated statistical technique called multidimensional scaling, or to create a perceptual map, as we called it, or a graphic presentation of the various brands in relationship to each other. So you will see an example of this by having sophisticated statistical models. And the next one is modeling software that allows decision makers to examine possible or preconceived ideas about relationships in the data, to ask the what if questions. For example, the media modeling software allows marketers to see what would happen if they have made certain decisions about where to place their advertising and so on. So this MDSS is able to use sales data and a model to find out how many consumers stay with the brand and how many switch from another brand to another.
I will explain the role of the customer insights function in a marketing organization. Customer insights has a definition of the collection, deployment, and interpretation of information that allows a business to acquire, develop, and retain their customers. How does customer insights work? So first, we have to collect data. Data are raw, unorganized facts that need to be processed. After that, data is then processed, organized, structured, and presented in order to become useful for decision making. That transformation is called information, which is interpreted data. The process of collecting data itself represents a few steps. The first one is actively monitoring the data collection process in the field. After we collect data in the fieldwork, we would then select respondents based on age, gender, education, income, and region. After we select the respondents, we would analyze the data itself with tools like SPSS, SAS, and other computer data programs. After we analyze the data, we would then ensure the data quality by assessing and removing outliers and splitters inside the data. Then it will become the final product of an information or marketing. The function of customer insights itself are a few. The first one is market planning decisions. Most companies today maintain a dedicated team of experts whose job are to sift through all the information available in order to support market planning decisions. The second one is understanding customers. Understanding customer means how we understand customers that interact with the organization, including the nasty encounters they may have, and to guide to planners when they have to think about future initiatives. The third one is integrating feedback from studies. The insights manager is like an artist who has to work with a lot of different colors on the palette. So the job of an insights manager is to integrate feedback from syndicated studies, marketing research, customer service, and other loyalty programs from other sources. This is to paint a more complete picture of their organization so it can be put to use.
Hello, my name is Amirega Sanda, and I'm going to present the third objective of this chapter, which is the steps in market research process. The market research process includes a series of steps that consist of define the research problem, determine the research design, choose the method to collect primary data, design the sample, collect the data, analyze and interpret the data, and prepare the research report. I'm going to list and explain the first two steps and key elements of it. The first step in the market research process is to clearly understand what information managers need. We refer to this step as defining the research problem. Defining the problem has three components. First is to specify the research objectives. For example, what questions will the research attempt to answer? Second is to identify the consumer population of interest. For example, what are the characteristics of the consumer group of interest? And the third is to place the problem in an environmental context. For example, what factors in the firm's internal and external business environment might influence the situation. Once we isolate specific problems, the second step of the research process is to decide on a plan of attack. This plan is the research design, which specifies exactly what information marketers will collect and what type of study they will do. This figure shows that research designs fall into two broad categories based on whether the analyst will utilize primary or secondary data. For some research problems, secondary data may provide the information needed. At other times, one of the primary data collection methods may be needed. The first question marketers must ask when they determine their research design is whether the information they require to make a decision already exists. We call it information that has been collected for some purpose other than the problem at hand, secondary data. Of course, secondary data are not always the answer. When a company needs to make a specific decision, marketers often collect primary data. It is an information they gather directly from respondents to specifically address the question at hand. Primary data include demographic and psychological information about customers and prospective customers, customers' attitudes and opinions about products and competing products, as well as their awareness or knowledge about a product and their beliefs about the people who use those products. These are various designs options to collect primary data. Marketers use exploratory research to come up with ideas for new strategies and opportunities, or perhaps just to get a better handle on a problem they are currently experiencing with the product. The next step in market research is to conduct descriptive research. This kind of research probes systematically into the marketing problem and bases its conclusions on a large sample of participants. Results typically are expressed in quantitative terms of averages, percentages, or other statistics that result from a large set of measurements. The descriptive techniques we've mentioned do a good job of providing valuable information about what is happening in the marketplace, but by its very nature, descriptive research can only describe a marketplace phenomenon. It cannot tell us why it occurs. Causal research attempts to identify cause and effect relationships. Marketers use causal research techniques when they want to know if a change in something is responsible for a change in something else. They call it the factors that might cause such a change independent variables and the outcomes dependent variables. The independent variable causes some change in the dependent variable. Exploratory research has three approaching techniques. First is the focus group. It is the technique that market researchers employ most often for exploratory research. Focus groups typically consist of 5 to 9 consumers who have been recruited because they share certain characteristics. These people sit together to discuss a product, ad, or some other marketing topic discussion leader introduces. Second is the case study. It is a comprehensive examination of a particular firm or organization. In business-to-business market research, in which the customers are other firms, for example, researchers may try to learn how one particular company makes its purchases. The goal is to identify the key decision makers, to learn what criteria they emphasize when they choose among suppliers, and perhaps to learn something about any conflicts and rivalries among these decision makers that may influence their choice. Another qualitative approach is ethnography, which uses a technique that marketers borrow from anthropologists who go to live with the natives for months or even years. Some market researchers visit people's homes or participate in real-life consumer activities to get a handle on how they really use products. Market researchers who employ descriptive techniques most often use a cross-sectional design. This approach usually involves the systematic collection of responses to a consumer survey instrument, such as questionnaire, from one or more samples of respondents at one point in time. In contrast to these one-shot studies, longitudinal design tracks the responses of the same sample of respondents over time. Market researchers sometimes create consumer panels to get information. In this case, a sample of respondents that are representative of a larger market agrees to provide information about purchases on a weekly or monthly basis. This form of causal research often involves using experimental designs. Experiments attempt to establish causality by ruling out alternative explanations and to maintain a high level of control. Experiments may entail bringing subjects into a lab so that researchers can control precisely what they experience. That's it from me for the third objective. Thank you.
Before we move on to the third step of the market research, I'm gonna show a little headline here from the book, which is Ethical or Sustainable Decisions in the Real World. So the underlying question here is, what are the ingredients for a successful advertising campaign? Is it have to grabbing people's attention? Or it has to be cutting edge, unforgettable, or even offensive? Well, one of the example is a 3-part online ad for Mountain Dew, an irate goat, with voiceover by the rapper Tyler the Creator. Picks up a waitress after she cuts the goat off from his Good Have soda. Well, the ad was pulled out after being accused of being possibly the most racist commercial in history. Over the years, advertising agencies have pushed the boundaries of decency in effort to get more eyeballs. These AG ads, also known as shop advertising, are shocking because they violate our social norms or focus on topics that many people consider inappropriate. And then we move on to this third step of the market research here, which is choose the method to collect primary data. When the researcher decides to work with primary data, the next step in the market research process is to figure out just how to collect it. Well, there are a few methods which are the survey method, of observational methods, and online research. The survey data collection method involves some kind of interview or other direct contact with respondents who answer questions. Questionnaires have some degree of structure. The first one is unstructured questionnaire, so it loosely determines the items in advance, and there is completely structured questionnaire on the other side, which asks every respondent the exact same question, and each participant responds to the same set of fixed choice, kind of multiple choice. And we got moderate structured questionnaires, so it asks each respondent the same question, but respondent is allowed to answer the question in his own words. And there is mail questionnaires, are easy to administer and offer a high degree of anonymity to respondents. And then there's telephone interviews, usually consist of a brief phone conversation in which an interviewer reads a short list of questions to the respondents. It's also called telemarketing, the use of telephone to sell directly to customers and business customers. And then we got face-to-face interview. A live interviewer asks questions of one respondent at a time, so it's face-to-face. The example maybe is Mall Intercept, a study in which researchers recruit shoppers in malls or other public areas. And after the survey method, we got observational method. It's situations where the researcher simply records the consumer's behavior. When researchers use personal observation, they simply watch consumers in action to understand how they react to marketing activities. The first one is an intrusive measures, measuring traces of physical evidence that remain after some action has been taken. And then mechanical observation is a method of primary data collection that relies on non-human devices to record behavior. And then the last type is online research. There are two major types of online research. One is information that organizations gather when they track consumers' while they surf the web. And the second one is information they gather more selectively through questionnaires on websites, including, of course, social media sites through email or from focus group that virtual moderators conduct in chat rooms.
And for the last topic, which is the cutting edge, it explains how and for the last topic, which is the cutting edge, explains the and for the last topic, which is the cutting edge. Dah anjing, susah ini harus video sendiri. And for the last topic, which is the cutting edge, discusses about how marketing is done in times like these. Marketing is done now aja nih. Hi, my name is Aditya Senior, and for the last topic, which is the cutting edge, it talks about how marketing is done now and how it has evolved into what it is right now. During our time, it is important for the company to build a brand that the customers trust. Therefore, many companies tend to involve the customers in marketing, which is such as like endorsements and stuff. And right now, many companies stresses on the ethics and CSR part of the marketing. This is because people now care more about the environment than they did when it was not a problem yet. The dark side of marketing. Dark side of marketing is when marketers they take advantage out of negative things. One of the most huge examples would be the Columbine High School Massacre. Was turned into a game by a video game company, and as a result, they had a lot of flashbacks saying it was unethical because they turned something negative and tried to capitalize on that. Another form of negative marketing is when companies target a market where the customers are vulnerable. This refers to the relation of addiction. And low-income families. Low-income families are more prone to addiction, such as alcoholism or drugs addiction or consuming too much tobacco and stuff. And companies, there was a time where companies really targeted on those that are vulnerable to it, making it only to capitalize, but giving a negative impact on the society. Destructive consumer behavior are situations when consumers act destructive that may lead to negative impacts or even their surroundings. Here are some examples of negative consumer behavior: terrorism, like 9/11, addictive consumption, like drugs and tobacco, exploited people, such as when people trafficking with or without consent, illegal activities such as shoplifting, shoplifting, or maybe sneaking in through customs just to avoid fees. Shrinkage, which is employee theft, is like when employees try to take what they can out of what belongs to the company. And anti-consumption, which is to go against consumption or to even damaging or tempering products because they hate consumerism. Marketing as a process. Some people think that marketing is a one-time shot, but it really isn't. It's a process that evolves throughout as the company develops. Market planning is an analysis that analyzes the company's strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. They do this in order to help strategize and make marketing decisions. Market planning usually engage in questions like what product would the market be looking for the next 3 to 5 years, and what separates us from our competition, how will changes in technology affect our company, and what might hinder our company from going global. You see, these questions will trigger answers that would help the company to develop or grow bigger. Last is market plan. A market plan is a document that describes the marketing environment, marketing objectives and strategies, and identifies personnel that are responsible for carrying out specific jobs. The keywords that are often used in a market plan: mass marketing, which is marketing to all possible customers in the market without paying attention to specific needs and wants. Examples include Target, Best Buy, where they just post a lot of stuff. Second is market segment, which is a specific group in the market that has more specific wants and needs that may differ from the larger market. It's almost the same as a niche market, which is they specialize on selling to this market only, so they cater to this segment of the market. Target market is the market segment that companies chooses to cater to. Once the company decides on a target market, they will put most effort to try and sell their products to them, but not limiting to them only. Market position is the way the market perceives the company in comparison to competitors' organizations. This means that knowing your market position will help you determine what steps to move forward, like how to make your company look more appealing, or how, and etc. That'll be all. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.